Hey guys, welcome back to the Sure Parenting podcast, where every parent deserves to feel sure of their parenting. I'm your host, Sammy Bell, creator of Sure Parenting and author of Sure Parenting, Building Blocks to Create Their Best Childhood. Here on the podcast, we address the issues that make parents question themselves or their kids, and we discuss creative solutions that meet the needs of each unique parent and child. Let's dive in. Good morning and welcome back. I wanted to read to you a question today that I got and provide some insight, some perspective, and some resources for you. So the question reads, my 4-year-old started making comments like, "That's a girl's toy," in a gross tone. And he definitely is not getting that from home. So I'm guessing he's seen that at daycare. I definitely don't want him to start the pattern of looking down on things that are traditionally feminine. Any ideas on how to address this? So we have a 4-year-old little boy, and that's really important in this answer. We also have a child who is in a lot of social engagement settings due to daycare. That's also really important. But the first important thing that I want to address is that we cannot look at 4-year-old behavior and assume that that's going to be the same behavior at 20. We cannot assume that our child is not going to grow, learn, change, expand, all of the above, because we all do. I'm a different person today at 35 than I was at 20, let alone at 4. So sometimes we see something and we have this catastrophizing moment of, oh my gosh, he can't grow up like this. He's not. Stay right here in the present moment, in this precise present moment. That's my first advice. Jumping into this specific situation, I responded with a couple of pieces for mom. One, this is a very natural part of development. 4-year-olds are black and white thinkers. They're trying to categorize the world into binary. They do not do well yet with abstract thinking. They get better and better at that as they move through this 5 to 7 year shift. So after that shift, they're able to have more nuance and more perspective and more, flexibility in their rigid thinking patterns. And at 4, their brain just isn't very good at the complexity yet. So there is no harm in them making binaries, even if the binaries are wrong. Even if they say, oh, well, because my sister Katie has Vans for her shoes, Vans must be girl shoes, right? They're illogical little loves. They're supposed to be trying out these systems of categorization and getting it wrong. We don't have to panic. This is normal, normal, normal. The other thing that's happening at 4 is that our children are really developing their own identity. Part of that is really wanting to clearly define themselves as either a boy or a girl for most kids. And when you have a 4-year-old who is in a social setting, that becomes even more important, right? You're around all of these other kids and you want to stake your claim, like I am on the boy side, and I want that to be a good thing. And I want that to be okay. And I want to be valued and proud of being a boy. And there's nothing wrong with that. So part of the vehemence of these categories often is, I don't want you to be wrong about me. And how many people feel that way, right? We all want to be seen. We all want to be understood. So we have this little 4-year-old with not fully developed thinking yet, not fully developed language yet, who is using their immature skills to essentially protect themselves, right? And when you look at the stages of attachment, there's proximity. Who are you close to? Physically, like with all of your senses. Who do you smell? Who do you hear? Who do you talk to? Who do you, just the closeness, proximity. And then the next level is sameness. So most all children, not all, but most children will gravitate toward their same-sex peers in this age range. That doesn't mean they can't play with some other children. It just means that in that preschool setting, you'll see little clumps of boys and little clumps of girls. That's very, again, very, very normal, very typical. And there is part of their development happening that is very normal to happen for all of these kids. And it actually typically doesn't bother the other children, right? So if this is a boys club or this is a girls club, a lot of the other kids are like, okay, right? And it's not super dysregulating to them because they get it. They think the same way. And my point in saying all of that is to help your nervous system regulate. This is not a panicky, oh my God, what have you done? What have you let happen? This is not that kind of moment. Also, I don't really project those kinds of moments on anything that I can currently think of with a 4-year-old. So take that for what it's worth. We can respond very, very casually to these things. If we're just at home and he's like, oh, like I said earlier, oh, well, those shoes are for girls. I don't have to say anything. He's not asking us a question. He's making his own determination. Okay. Right? There's not really any harm in that. Say you're at the store and you're like, hey, do you want the unicorn lunchbox? Do you want the dragon lunchbox? Or do you want the plain blue lunchbox? Oh, I can't have the unicorn lunchbox. That's for girls. I might take that opportunity to say, you know what? Nobody actually owns a whole category of things. So you can have the unicorn lunchbox if you want. You also can have a different one if you want. You get to decide what you like. Because it changes the focus from everybody has to be the same to I get to decide for me. That's empowerment. So it's not a full-blown lecture. There's not this, you have to change your thinking. It's just, here's another perspective, kid. One little drop in the bucket, one little seed planted. It's meant to be very casual, very quick. Now, if our child is saying something to another child, then I might be a little bit more direct. My oldest's favorite color, like beyond favorite color, when he was 3 years old, was pink. Like he found a pair of pink sunglasses and wore them every day. They couldn't leave the house without his sunglasses, and they were very pink. And the powers that be clearly designed them, quote unquote, for a girl. Does that mean he can't wear them? Obviously not. If he wants the pink glasses, wear the pink glasses. But they were, to society in general, girl glasses. And I'm doing quotes for those of you that can't see my face. And so we got to explore this a little bit with him, where people would comment on his choice and say something exactly like that. Those are girl glasses. And this child, if you are familiar with my brain types, this child is an exact brain type, which means he decides something is so, and that's what it is. So for him, this wasn't terribly distressing. He was like, no, they're not. And he'd just move on. But the one time that he did question it with me, that he asked my advice or whatever on the subject, I said, colors belong to everyone. Boys are allowed to like pink. Girls are allowed to like orange and blue. And it's not really anybody else's business what color you like. You get to decide for you. We used to have a phrase, because my boys are 19 months apart, and they would squabble and try to boss each other. And then that part actually wasn't the problem. The problem for me was, Mom is trying to tell me that I can't insert thing, or that I have to insert thing. And so I started responding with, well, who's the boss of you? And they changed that to, I'm the king of me. And this is like 2 and 3, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, that kind of age range. And they got such a kick out of this. I'm the king of me. And that comes to mind when I talk about this subject, right? Because you know what, buddy? You can be the king of you. You can decide that you do not want the pink sparkly backpack or the rainbow tennis shoes. You get to decide that for you, and nobody gets to make you like something you don't like. Also, you are only the king of you. You don't get to make other people have the same thoughts and ideas as you. So if Alex likes the rainbow sparkle shoes, that's what Alex gets to decide because Alex is the king of him. And if Mary likes the Jurassic Park backpack, that's what Mary gets to decide because Mary's the queen of her. And for whatever reason, partially maybe the playfulness or the imagination part of the kings and queens, they loved this framing and it helped them so much. And we just would refer back to it every time. And so some of the responses that they had available to them would be, well, I'm the boss of me. That's a girl color. Obviously not. Colors belong to everyone. Okay. You'd be surprised how often a sideways tilted head and a okay kind of takes the wind out of somebody's sails because you're not engaging. And I explain that to my kids as taking your power back. My now 8-year-old recently came up with one where he says, how's it feel to be wrong? Which just kills me because I did not teach him that, but it's good. It's a little teeny bit antagonistic, so depending on your situation, may not be appropriate, but it's hilarious here. So anyways, if your child is receiving these comments, helping them to recognize like nobody owns colors, you're the boss of you. People have wrong opinions sometimes. You can be a little softer with it. Maybe he really maybe he likes something different, right? We're allowed to like different things. But knowing that your kids will probably put things into categories and boxes like this, and that they should. This is the age that they should be doing that. Knowing that even if your kid likes pink, they'll still put other things in boxes. They won't be able to go, well, since I broke out of this particular box, other people can break out of boxes in these ways. It's too nuanced yet. And that's okay. That does not mean that they're going to, what did she say? How did she say that? Look down on things that are traditionally feminine. That's not what that means at all. He's not even thinking about it. He's not even actually saying that the thing is gross. He is saying it is gross of people to look at me in a way that I am not. That's really what he's saying. I am a boy and I want to stake my claim on boyness. Okay, go for it, dude. The next part of this is to model for yourself, right? Make sure you are modeling that people can pick whatever clothes they want. People can pick whatever shoes they want. The things that you're wanting him to pick up on, if he is living that in his home, he will pick up on it. As his natural nuance develops, as his flexible thinking develops, as his abstract thinking develops, he will pick up on it. There's no way around it. So making sure that that is modeled in the home, making sure that his father, if you can, if you're still in that relationship, having that conversation with his father, like he very well may have been socialized the same way. He may be 38 years old and still afraid to wear pink. Could happen. It does happen, right? This isn't, oh, you have to wear pink to make our son think that pink things are okay. It's more about looking at where you're already at. In what ways do the male members in his life represent that people can like what they like? People don't have to like what some imaginary rule says that they should like. that if your neighbor plays tennis, you're not making fun of him because it's not football. If your brother-in-law doesn't like NASCAR, you're not telling him he's not a real man, right? Like it's those kinds of comments that we have an opportunity as adults with flexible thinking and with nuance to be the example of, okay, everybody likes different things, right? And it'll come up in your family. My brother is obsessed with the Eagles football team. His daughter wears an Eagles jersey for every single Eagles game. She is 1 year old. This is a family cultural thing for them. It's very important to them. My family does not care about football. We've never seen a football game. I have seen football games because I grew up in a family that liked football. But in my little nuclear family, we just don't do that. We are more likely to go outside and throw a football than to watch a football game. And that's okay. We're not going to make fun of them because they like football. We're not going to have them make fun of us because we don't like football. We're just allowed to have different interests, and that's okay. And the more that we practice that, the more that we're setting our kids up to live that way. Similarly, if you have men in your family who can think on it and maybe even bring up, actually, I really like this purple top that, your grandma got me. This is one of my favorites. Well, purple is a girl color, Grandpa. Is it? Because I'm wearing it. I don't think I'm a girl, right? And letting them see examples of men that they really aspire to, that are comfortable changing that narrative. It can be difficult. It for sure can be. And you get to decide, how much effort you put into this. Because as I said at the very beginning, this is a stage, and the stage does expand on its own. You don't need to rush in and fix this. I promise you. And if you notice in your family that you guys really are upholding these kind of rigid lines, then you have an opportunity to be a little more flexible. No big deal. You always get to grow and change. One of the ways that I like to do this is to talk about why people like what they like instead of lumping it into a group. What I mean by that is, why does Uncle like to work on cars? It's not because he's a man. It's because it's whatever the reason is. Is it because it's a really quiet activity, and a lot of times when he's at work, it's very loud? He likes quiet. Is it because it's like solving a puzzle every time, and he gets a lot of joy from figuring out complex problems? Is it because he really likes having the skills to help his family and his neighbors? Right? What are the reasons behind it? And a lot of people never even really think about why they like what they like. So this can be a very interesting conversation anyway. But those reasons can be attributed to anybody. They're not man specific. And I keep using men as the example because that's what we're talking about in this case. All of this also applies to women things. If your daughter doesn't like makeup, okay. Do you know what my daughter said to me recently? She goes, I wish I could be a boy. And I said, why? She goes, because I don't want to have to put holes in my ears, because I got my ears pierced last year, my second piercing. I was like, baby, you don't have to put holes in your ears. I don't. She's 4, by the way, right? Black and white thinking, boxes. I don't want to get my ears pierced, therefore I have to be a boy. No, honey. Every person gets to decide whether they put holes in their ears. You do not have to put holes in your ears. Nobody is going to make you. Those are your ears, and you decide. And this girl lit up. She was so excited to realize that she didn't have to hurt her ears. And somehow I missed that part of the conversation where she does not have to get her ears pierced, because she kept asking me, when can I get my ears pierced? And I was like, ooh, probably when you're older, babe. It hurts. I'm not comfortable trying to do this with a 4-year-old. And I don't know, at some point that transferred in her brain to, I'm going to have to get my ears pierced and it's going to hurt. And I'm like, no, you don't. You absolutely do not. And then I saw a video of an adult woman who was gifted the most beautiful earrings. And she's like, well, I don't have my ears pierced, but I do have converters. And so apparently this is like a thing. This is a thing. She doesn't even have to have her ears pierced if she wants to wear beautiful earrings because you can convert them into clip-ons. And she was so excited. But it wasn't obvious to her, right? I had to like explicitly explain that to her, that she could make her own choice for her body and still be a girl. And that is the age of 4. It's just how their little brains work. We are here to guide them. We don't have to freak out and have to panic. We don't have to, lay down the hammer or whatever. Like we're like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. This is adorable. Here's a little bit of nuance. Here's a little bit of expanding your perspective. And it grows. That effort grows into the nuance and the acceptance that we want them to have as they get older, because that's what we're modeling for them. So what I said at the very end was situation isn't about shutting down these comparisons. It is about expanding their perspective. And the part that I didn't touch on yet that's really important is understanding your child's perspective. What do they even mean by that? Right? When they say pink is a girl color, and you jump to, oh, he hates feminine things and he's judging women and he's going to be misogynist. Whoa, we haven't asked yet. What does that mean? Well, Miss Sarah put all of the pink stickers on the girls' desks. Oh, okay. Right? That could be what he means. We need to ask, what do you mean by that? Well, Tommy said that only girls can wear pink. I wonder why Tommy said that. Because his mommy told him that he wasn't allowed to have the pink backpack. Oh, interesting. I wonder why. Do you think he wanted the pink backpack? Yeah, he said so. He had to get the blue one. I wonder how he felt about that. Well, kind of bothered or kind of mad, but then his mom said that was a girl color, so he was happy to get the blue one. I see. Right? Now, I don't know why this kid couldn't get the pink backpack. We can assume that this mom is afraid to have her kid wear pink because of all of the things. Like we've seen the things. Maybe the pink one was actually like the sequiny one that's like super distracting, and she knows her kid and he's going to do nothing but play with this dang backpack all day at school, and he just needed to get a plain one, right? They happened to be pink and blue. So we don't want to assume. We don't want to fall into the same boxes of this is one story, this is the other, and it's one or the other, and that's it. We want to live in that gray area where we have perspective and nuance and we're capable of flexible thinking. Maybe the pink one, was some sort of branded character thing, and their school doesn't allow branded character things. Maybe the pink one was, an adult backpack, and so it was like twice as expensive versus the kid one that was half as expensive, and quite frankly, $40 on a kid backpack, and probably they've gone up by now. I don't even know. That's going to be worn out by the end of the year. Not worth it. Right? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. So we're not going to assume. We're going to hold the space for our little people's brains to explore ideas, to think about what they think about the world. And we're going to allow that to exist because they're 4. They're not wrong. They're 4. When they're 14, they will think differently. And when they're 24, they'll think differently again. We get to honor this period of time with the intent of modeling how we want them to grow, but without panicking and trying to fix them. They're not broken. They're 4. So hopefully that is reassuring to you. Hopefully you can take a deep breath and let it out. Feel comfortable with the ideas that your 4-year-olds bring to you. Ask questions. Stay calm. Expand. Don't assume. Know what's normal and developmental. Know when to kind of cut off, like, you don't have to make comments on him. He gets to make his own choices, right? Be that guide, but be that calm and confident leader instead of the frantic, panicky one. And that's not to say that this mom was frantic or panicky. I have no reason to assume that she was. But I have spoken to parents who are. So that's why I put that out there for anybody listening. If you start to panic, regulate yourself first. Don't let your brain take off into catastrophization. It's not a catastrophe. It's just development. And your little one has you by their side to get through it. So with that, that wraps up this topic for today. I will see you on the next one. Bye.